So this ventricular tachycardia originates from the left posterior fascicle, occurs in young people who have normal hearts. So this is an idiopathic VT occurring in normal hearts, and the drug of choice. What is the drug of choice? The drug of choice is IV verapamil or diltiazem. So a calcium channel blocker terminates the ventricular tachycardia. And in fact, that has been one of the reasons why when a calcium channel blocker terminates the tachycardia, you still feel that it's an SVT. That's why it terminated. No, a VT can also respond to a calcium channel blocker. And this is a classic example of Bellasson VT or fascicular VT. And this is AV dissociation, as Dr. Gupta pointed out, is also seen in lead rhythm strip 2. So this is a ventricular tachycardia. We move on to the next ECG. All right, so now next ECG of is also a white QRS tachycardia. Now it's a white QRS tachycardia, and the ECG questions to you are, what is this? Is this a monomorphic type of a ventricular tachycardia? Is this a polymorphic type of a ventricular tachycardia? Or is it atrial fibrillation with a very fast ventricular rate and a left bundle branch block morphology? Or the last choice is atrial fibrillation with WPW, AFib with pre-excitation and WPW syndrome. So please vote and let us see what you would decipher this white QRS tachycardia as. So this is clearly more wider than the first example which we saw. And Dr. Gupta, as the polling comes in, you can tell us what kind of response are we getting.
I'm just waiting for the results, Dr. Amit. As soon as the results come, I'll let you know.
Okay, so you know this is a very rapid ventricular rate. Let me tell you. Now, if you see the shortest RR is just about 200 milliseconds. That means 300 beats per minute. Very fast tachycardia. So look at it, very fast. Second is, it is broad. Look at the QRS. The QRS is pretty broad. QRS is broad. So fast. It is broad. And what is the regularity? Is it regular? If we see the RR interval here and the RR interval here and here, it is not a regular RR interval. So I am giving you a broad hint, broad clue that this is a fast tachycardia. It's a broad QRS tachycardia, and it's an irregular tachycardia. FVI. I hope you get it now.
Still, the results are not accessible. I think Dr. Amit has given enough hint that it's a fast, broad, irregular tachycardia. And this is one sort of ECG where we say to everyone that this ECG should be imprinted on the brain, that the fast, broad, irregular tachycardia is atrial fibrillation with WPW syndrome. So that is the diagnosis of the ECG. I do not know how much time will it take to show the results. Anybody from the technical team, because it's taking too much of time to show the result.
So as Dr. Gupta said, the correct diagnosis here is atrial fibrillation, because the RR is irregularly irregular. So when you have an irregularly irregular RR, think of atrial fibrillation. When you have such a broad QRS and bizarre looking QRS, which is very fast tachycardia, AFib with WPW. So again, a pattern recognition. No sooner you see this ECG, you glance through the entire ECG. It's a tachycardia. It's very fast. It is a very, very broad and a bizarre QRS. It's an irregular. The first thought that should come in mind is that it's AFib with WPW. Now, we can look at other examples. Monomorphic VT. So can this be a monomorphic VT? Yeah, I mean, what is monomorphic? When the morphology of the QRS in that given lead is the same. So it is monomorphic, yes. but is it ventricular tachycardia? Now, monomorphic VT tend to be very, very stable. So the RR interval never is so irregular as is seen here. Can we call it polymorphic? Polymorphic we can't say, because in the given lead, the beat to beat morphology needs to change. The morphology needs to change from every complex to complex. That is not happening. So that is not the case. Can we say this is atrial fibrillation with a very fast rate and underlying left bundle branch block? As I said, that whenever you want to say a bundle branch block, it should show typical bundle branch block pattern. Is it a typical bundle branch block pattern? We have to look at the precordial lead. Look at lead V1 and then suddenly look at lead V2. So if you saw V1, V2, the transition is so dramatic and drastic that V1 shows a QS and V2 shows a tall R wave, that it is out. This is not a typical left bundle branch block. And this is a very classic situation of an accessory pathway or pre-excitation where lead 2, 3 and AVF are shown a negative QRS. Transition is happening from V1 to V2, telling you that this is a posteroseptal axillary pathway. It's a posteroseptal axillary pathway. Dr. Gupta, unfortunately, I don't think we have the poll answer in this ECG, right?
Yeah, still the results not visible.
Okay, so I think I will go on to the next ECG then. Is that okay?
Sure, sure. Yeah, yes.
All right, so I think let's hope the polling system works here. Now, this is also an ECG which shows QRS, QRS. There is a long pause, QRS, QRS, long pause. And so distinctly, there is a bradycardia happening here. Now, the question to you is that is this bradycardia because of a sinus node dysfunction? So sick sinus syndrome, as we call it. Is this showing atrial fibrillation? So the fine atrial fibrillation, the atrial fibrillation is so fine that it looks like a flat line between the two RR, and the ventricular rate is very slow and irregular. Or is this an ECG of hyperkalemia? Hyperkalemia can have bradycardia. It can have tall T waves, maybe. Or is it ST elevation and tall T wave? It's an acute coronary syndrome, acute ischemia. Acute ischemia also can cause bradycardia. So please vote for the correct answer, which you think is most appropriate. And I think we'll give it one more try in terms of what the polling meter tells us. And let's hope this time the polling works. So while you all are voting, I again want you to, the theme is pattern recognition. So try to recognize certain patterns on an ECG, and then you think that what potentially could be the mechanism or the etiology. And in this, it's a little tricky one, but nonetheless, it's important one, where there are certain patterns which should make you think that this is the most appropriate diagnosis.
Dr. Amit, till the results come, I think in ECG, the most giving clue could be the tall T waves and the extreme bradycardia. And one condition which can lead to tall T waves and extreme bradycardia is hyperkalemia. So one diagnosis which can be thought of in this on this ECG is hyperkalemia. The other diagnosis, because of these tall T waves, the sinus node function should not have tall T waves. Similarly, the fine atrial fibrillation and slow ventricular response. Again, in atrial fibrillation, you will not have such a diffuse flat line. The other thing is acute coronary syndrome can also have a tall T wave and sometimes if it is affecting the AV node, then one can have sort of AV block. But here thing is more like a sinus arrest where there are no P waves at all. So I feel the diagnosis of hyperkalemia should be number one. And if there is some background history is there, then hyperkalemia should be thought of.